Good morning, or good evening, good afternoon, depending on where you're joining us from. Thank you for joining us today, where we'll be talking about and demonstrating integration between Salesforce and Epicor 9. So just a couple of housekeeping items before we get started. I can find my advance. There we go. The phone lines are muted so that we eliminate any distractions. However, the presentation is about 40 minutes in length, and we will certainly leave time for a Q&A at the end. So please submit your questions using the GoToWebinar or GoToMeeting box that you have to your right. Again, you can submit your questions there. We will read them aloud, and then either Brian or myself will answer as appropriate. All questions will be addressed, and certainly if there's follow-up, we'll make sure that that happens. Also, you'll receive a follow-up recording within the next 24 hours, and that will include a link for a recorded version of today's session, as well as the slides. So you can certainly go back and listen to something again, or pass it along to a coworker. So my name is Lynn Harrington. I'm the Director of Channels here at Scribe Software, and in my role, one of the things that I do is work with our partners such as DataX. We're joined today by Brian Sapit of DataX, who's the president of DataX actually, and DataX is a longtime Epicor partner who built what we call a Scribe Online connector, and you'll have a better understanding of what that is at the end of today's presentation. But built a Scribe Online connector for Epicor 9. And so Brian will be handling the very Epicor-specific aspects of today's webinar. We are going to go into a little bit of an overview regarding the two organizations for those of you that are new on the phone, and then just quickly talk about some important integration-related topics, why you should even care about what we're talking about today, really. Not only from an integration standpoint, but why Scribe as an option. And then we'll get to the important part of the presentation where Brian will really demonstrate integration between Salesforce and Epicor 9. And then we'll touch base on some additional resources that are available to you, and as I stated before, have a Q&A session. So with that, let me introduce Scribe for those that are new to Scribe. Scribe specifically offers integration solutions for customer data. So unlike a lot of other companies that are out there, or some of our competitors where integration is a more broader category, we very much focus around customer data. We think there's some unique attributes to the way customers need to share that data between applications, and we think there are unique capabilities within the product that are needed to support that. So that's really where we focus, have been in business for over 15 years with over 12,000 customers. Oftentimes it's CRM that drives the integration projects that we're involved in, whether it be Microsoft Dynamics or Salesforce, two of the more common ones. And we have both cloud-based and on-premise offerings. We've won awards for our technologies, but in general, again, they're customer-focused and certainly focused on being easy to deploy and to maintain. With that, I'm going to ask Brian to speak and give us an overview regarding DataX.
So DataX was founded in 1997 as a custom software company. And like Lynn said, we have been an Epicor partner for a while, since 2008. And I think, as many people on the phone may know, their CRM system is good, but it's not as good as some of the best-of-breed systems that you can find out in the marketplace. So we partnered with Scribe in 2012 to develop this connector, which we'll go into more detail on, to kind of help our customers use the Epicor data in their CRM system and have access to it when they need it, and to also help people only work in a single system so they're not flipping back and forth between Epicor and Salesforce, or Epicor and Dynamics CRM. Really, our value proposition is that we focus on people's processes and then solve those issues with software, and we think that Scribe in this partnership really helps to do that, because, like I said before, you can use a best-of-breed system for your CRM rather than trying to customize what Epicor has.
Great, thank you, Brian. We're just going to take a moment to ask a few polling questions. As I mentioned, our demonstration today is going to focus on Salesforce to Epicor 9 integration. However, the integration that you're going to see here today would be available to an application such as Dynamics CRM. We would just like to get a sense for who is using what. So I'm going to bring up a poll question here, and this poll should only take a few seconds. If you can just answer that. Once I see that most people have answered, then I can go on to the next question. Hopefully everyone can see the questions. Okay, yeah, I see people voting, so that's great. Okay, let me go on to the next one. There we go. Okay, and let's see here. Again, this is regarding your usage of CRM. And here's a question about your current integration, if you are integrating these systems. Okay, great. Thank you all for participating in that. That gives us some good, a good sense of who is joining our presentation today in the audience. So I'm just going to spend a couple of minutes talking about why integration should be important to you, whether you're a customer taking a look right now at integrating these two applications, or whether you're a partner and considering this for customers that you're working with. And then specifically talk a little bit about Scribe. This screen, or this slide, is really a setup. One of the key initiatives that we take place in at Scribe is to run a customer data integration survey, and it's actually become one of the largest as far as the number of participants. It does have over 1,000 end users. 83% of them are actually business leaders, and then another 17% are systems integrators and VARs. And I won't go into all of the details here, but I would recommend that when you look at the slides tomorrow, maybe you can take a look at more detail as far as the profile of who participated. What I think is more important, and what I want to focus on today, is what some of the information was that we gathered through this. What's really important is that these CIOs really felt that tighter integration of their core business systems is critical, more critical today than in the past. And in specifically talking around CRM and ERP integration, 70% felt that it was critical to them running their businesses more efficiently. But only 14% had actually fully integrated, what they would call fully integrated those systems. And in general, when we looked across all the core business systems, only 16% of respondents felt like there was full integration among these systems. Some details that came out as far as the challenges. Why is that? Why would a CIO put that they feel it's so critical to their business and yet have such a low success rate or low initiative rate of actually implementing it? And that's because of two key challenges. One, the fact that there's just multiple data sources, and this is even continuing to grow now in a cloud-based world that we live in. So it's the number of data sources, but also it's about the amount of data and really moving from sort of the big data concept to really smart data. Both of these can be overwhelming. And what's key, and what we're going to show here today, is that Scribe is very much focused on taking certain integration scenarios, breaking it down, making it very manageable for companies, and making it as easy as possible so that it is not overwhelming and it is something that can truly be achieved, and achieved in a way that will truly improve your business. As a company, we really believe that customer data fuels everything. Something that has changed and become, much more prevalent recently is the fact that everyone now has devices, and they expect that data to be available anywhere and now when they want it. And the only way we are all going to keep up with that, whether you're a customer, whether you're an implementation partner, an integration ISV like Scribe, is if it's as easy as possible, easy to deploy and easy to maintain. That's the only way it's possible. So those are just key beliefs that we have. As far as why it's so important to integrate very specifically CRM and ERP data, we find that the business case usually falls into three categories. One being the availability, and Brian alluded to this, the availability of your sales team to really access valuable data that's in your Epicor system. So there's a wealth of information there that can be leveraged by your knowledge workers, can be leveraged by your marketing organization, so that you can further grow your business. It's about, so that's one key area. The second area is really about streamlining processes so that more time can be spent on really value-added activities such as analyzing your business. So the more that we can eliminate the mundane administrative tasks, the hours per week that your employees spend looking for data, we can spend time analyzing the business and really engage in activities that will affect a positive outcome for the business. And then the third is by eliminating manual steps, which not only reduces your quote to cash timeline, which is so important, but really eliminates errors. And errors are very costly for many organizations, especially when you're talking about potential errors, getting into an ERP system. So those are the three key areas that oftentimes we focus on to build the business case on, really what the benefits of CRM to ERP integration are to an organization. I mentioned, though, that with everything going on in the cloud, there's a lot that's changing. And what Scribe is really focused on is addressing what is being driven by these changes in the market. So one is the fact that there are a lot more touch points. So we're here today talking about Salesforce to Epicor integration, but for instance, we see a demand with getting Epicor data into marketing automation systems. We mentioned ExactTarget here, but there's lots of others out there in the marketplace. So it's becoming more what we call multi-point or cross-functional. The need for there to be a collaborative environment. So you may be a customer on this phone, but you have a partner that you're working with. You've got IT. At any given time, there can be multiple people involved in the integration at the time of deployment and then the ongoing support of it. Might even be a support person at your partner, your implementation partner. These people need to come and go and be able to work collaboratively. So that's a key part of what's needed nowadays in a integration platform. And the third is the flexibility. There are going to be combinations of cloud-based and on-premise-based applications. There's going to be these hybrid environments, and there's going to be the need to rapidly change the data that is shared between these applications. And it's only through a very flexible platform that you're going to be able to do that. Of course, at Scribe, we believe that we focused on all three of those areas, and that's why Scribe is different from other options that may very well be out there and available to you. Scribe is easy to use. It allows for the ultimate flexibility, so we've built it knowing that these are very dynamic organizations generally, and when you're talking about customer data, change is happening all the time, and you need to be able to react to that as a company. You want to do it in an orderly way, but you certainly don't want the technology to in any way keep you from making changes and adapting your business. We know the importance of a low total cost of ownership. Majority of our customers are small and mid-sized companies, so they don't have unlimited resources. They really do need to be able to maintain this in a cost-effective way. As I mentioned, we support collaboration. So as a company, we're very dedicated to channel partners. We think that implementation partners and VARs do a great job delivering our platform to customers, really meeting their needs, and we know that we need to support that and to continue to better support that. And one of the things that's key about our platform is that a user does not need to be a developer. So not only does that reduce the time to implement and really streamline some of the maintenance challenges that can come up when you're dealing with maybe a custom code scenario, but it's really important if your relationship with your partner is such that they're going to do the initial implementation, but as a customer you're going to take over responsibility. Or if you're a partner on the phone here and you know that in general a percentage of your customers, the ongoing maintenance and additional support for the implementation does get transitioned to the customer, they're able to do that without having a developer on staff who has to be very strong in coding in order to do that. So with that, we're going to move to the solution overview. I'm going to spend just a quick minute giving you an overview of the Scribe Online architecture, because this is going to be, this solution is based on the Scribe Online platform, and then Brian will take over from here, really getting into the specifics of what's available for Epicor 9. So the Scribe Online architecture, the first thing that many of you may be saying is, well, my Epicor is on-premise, or maybe even my Dynamics CRM is on-premise. That's okay. The Scribe Online platform doesn't care whether this is an on-premise or a cloud-based application or a combination. It can work with any. It's really about the delivery mechanism and the platform. So the way Scribe Online is designed is you are able to access the user interface so that you can connect, you can monitor, you could build or customize, make changes to your integration from a browser no matter where you're located. We then have a technology that we call our agent technology. The agent technology is what processes the data, and you as a customer or you as a partner, you can work with your customer to make the choice as to whether you want that agent to be based in the cloud because a customer wants a complete cloud solution, or if you're a customer who wants to have it on-premise. In many cases that's going to be the case because Epicor 9 it will be on-premise. You can have that behind your firewall, and that's where the data is processed. It's a very small file, so it doesn't take up a lot of space, and it basically processes the data based on the instructions that come down from the Scribe Online cloud. That's the main overview here. In addition to the platform itself, we have what we call connectors, and you're going to learn more about connectors from the demonstration and when Brian talks to you about the Epicor 9 connector. So with that, Brian, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Okay, so this is an overview of what our connector supports, and in the diagram you can see, sorry, I thought we were doing the slide. So we'll actually show you what it supports. So it looks like everybody can see my screen here. Okay, so all right, so this is Salesforce.com, and what we're going to do is a very simple workflow. We are going to add a customer inside of Epicor, and then we're going to see that customer synchronized back up to Salesforce. And then we are going to add a contact and a call log or activity in Salesforce and see that information flow back to Epicor. And we'll do that first, and then we'll do another little flow around creating sales orders and invoices and then having that information flow back up to Salesforce. So this is the Epicor customer entry screen. So I'm going to enter in a customer. Let's just say it's Microsoft. And just fill out the basic information. like you would creating any customer. And this could go the other way too. So customer creation is bidirectional. So if you wanted to create the customer in Salesforce and then you wanted to have it synchronized back to Epicor, that would work as well. I have a problem with my Epicor system here. Sorry, let me just open it up again. And the same thing is true for contacts, activities, or what are called CRM calls in Epicor. Those can both be bidirectional as well. So what's great about that is you could have your customer service team talking to people at different accounts and servicing different contacts. And they can be adding people while your sales team is focused maybe on executives and selling new solutions, but those contacts of the other people in the organization are flowing up to Salesforce and vice versa. So we're going to pull up customer entry here again. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to add just the customer name and some address information, make them a customer. Let's say they're in Redmond, Washington. Oops. And all right. So now this has been saved, and then just for the sake of simplicity, I'm going to go over to Scribe and run the connector or the solution manually. And while that runs, I can give you a little tour of Scribe Online. So on this screen, this is the main screen that you come to when you log into Scribe, and the top section is what's called integration services. So these are the solutions that synchronize data between two systems like Salesforce.com and Epicor. And inside of these solutions, you have a couple different things. We have a name of the solution and a description so you know what it is. We also have an agent, and Lynn talked a little bit about agents. And agents can be installed in the cloud, so you don't need any hardware to use them at all, or they can be installed on a machine behind your firewall. So in the example that we're using today, this is connecting to an Epicor system that's back at our office, and none of the web services or the data is accessible through the firewall. So we installed the agent on the server, and it transmits data back and forth between Salesforce.com and Scribe Online controls it. Then we have a third tab, which are the maps themselves. And the solution that we're using today has, I think, 7 different maps for accounts and contacts and orders and AR invoices. And you can have quite a few of these, and you can import and export these. So with our connector, we provide all of the maps that we're looking at here as a starting point, so you can use those for your own mapping. But let's go in and look at one of these just quickly. And you can do some pretty complex things with these maps. So what's neat about Scribe is they've done these building blocks that makes it very easy to understand. And like Lynn said, you don't need to be a programmer to do this. So the top level is a query. So what data are we going to pull? Well, in this example, we're going to pull customer contact data from Epicor. And we only want stuff that's been changed since the last time it ran. And then for each one of those that we return, for each result, we're going to insert or update a contact in Salesforce. So you can see that we have the contact entity chosen here. And then we can also choose our matching criteria. So if there's multiple pieces of information that you need to match on to update or insert something, you can. And then we have the list of fields that you can map. So on the left-hand side, we have the Epicor fields. We have all the Epicor fields that are available in a contact here. And then on the right-hand side, we have the Salesforce fields. And mapping is as simple as dragging and dropping fields. So if we wanted to bring over the change date and map it to one of the fields, we just pick it up and drop it. Same thing with all the custom fields that are available in Epicor. It's very easy to do. You also notice that we can build formulas, so if you need to transform data, if you need to put logical expressions or anything like that in there to populate the data in the other system, you can do that. Okay. So I'm going to go back to the main screen here, and I think it should be finished. Yeah, it ran. And so now if we look at our accounts inside of Salesforce, we should find Microsoft as a new customer. And here they are. So they've been added. Their address information of what I put in came up. The account number from Epicor came over. So now let's just add a contact to this record. So put Bill Gates in here. Okay. I think he's the chairman still. And then you can put in as much information as you want. It's copying down the address information from the company, and then I hit save. And then I'm going to do the same thing for some activities. I'm going to log a call. So I called Bill. Put some notes in here, and then we can save that as well. And so we can run our solution again. And the one thing I didn't mention before is that these can be run on a schedule. So they can be run as often as every minute, or you can do it once a month or once a day. It's up to you, and also how long it takes to process. The other thing that I'll show that is really nice, and this is something I think people don't really think about when they do integration projects, is what do you do when things fail? How do you know what failed and how to fix it and things like that? And you'll notice that we have a nice list of the history of everything that's gone back and forth between the two systems. So if I wanted to see the details of the last time it was run, I can view these statistics, and it's telling me how many records I processed on each individual one. So I had one account come over, I had some invoices, and then a customer go back the other direction, which is really nice because exception handling can be a big challenge in integration projects. So the other thing I'll do while this is running in the background, and then we can show how it created the contact and the call, is I'm going to create a quick sales order. And I'm going to use a feature of Epicor called a counter sale, which allows me to create a sales order, ship it, and invoice it basically all in one step, so you can see all of this information flow back up to Salesforce. So I'm going to create a simple sales order. Well, let's do it for Microsoft. Choose my dates. I'm going to say it's a counter sale. Add a product. Oops. Okay. Let's save that. Yeah, it's okay there. Credit hold. All right. So then I'm going to say pack it and invoice it. All right. And then process. It's going to run through its paces here to create that packing slip and that invoice. Okay, we got one more screen to go through here. Should be good. Okay. All right, so now that has been created. So then I'm going to run my solution one more time. And again, that could have ran on a schedule and just been going every minute or couple minutes in the background. And I'm going to go to customer entry. So this is going to refresh my customer screen, and we should see that we have one contact, which is Bill Gates, which we do. right here, chairman. And then we also have one logged call from myself in Salesforce. So call to bill, discuss a new email system. And then when we, one more second here, we should be able to go back to Salesforce, and then we will see the order history and invoice pop up on their page as well. Okay. So these transactions process pretty quickly as well. You know, when it runs in the background, you barely notice it, and you can pop from one system to another, and they update. All right, so that's finished. And if we reload our Microsoft page here, we have, it looks like the invoice came over, but the order hasn't yet. It could just be a timing thing. But you'll see that, you know, this is available, and right now we have mapped the document date and the totals, but we do support line item detail as well. So if you wanted all the line items on an invoice and a sales order, that would go up as well, and it's linked to the account. So that was the basics of what I wanted to cover, and like Lynn said before, excuse me, it is really simple, and you don't need to be an IT person or a developer to do it. You just need to be able to understand how both systems work to be able to map those two together. So with that, I'll hand it back to you, Lynn.
Okay. I think everyone can hear me now. We had a little minor glitch in switching back over. Thank you, Brian. That was a great demo. Just wanted to take a moment to, from, you know, right here, just again, whoops, review the touch points and what's available with the connector. So sorry about this, folks. Let me just get this slide back up. Okay, there we go. As Brian mentioned, it supports two way of customers, contacts, CRM calls, orders, and quotes, and then one way of shipments, parts, inventory, and invoices. And although Brian specifically showed Salesforce to Epicor 9 integration, think about, as Brian had talked about earlier, what this really provides you is a best-of-breed world. So there's lots of other applications that you may already have implemented that are really critical to your business, and you're going to be able to leverage that Epicor data to drive those applications, whether they be marketing automation, e-commerce, CRM, or other types of systems that you have, legacy systems in-house, and you just need additional technology connectors. Those are all available with the Scribe Online platform. So to learn a little bit more about what DataX offers, specifically along with the connector for Epicor 9, they have what we call a quick start package. And for a set price, you get the following services. I'm going to give you, in another slide or two, some contact information for DataX. But just so you know, this is the Quick Start package that would enable them to get your organization up and running. There are also some just general additional resources. We have a web page on our website that speaks specifically about the Epicor 9 connector and what's available. There's some quick demo movies and some additional collateral on there. You certainly can engage in a trial of Scribe Online, and that's available at this link here. And then you would want to contact DataX specifically regarding the connector for Epicor 9. And certainly they can work with you through your trial and to make sure that they can answer your questions so that you would feel good about this solution meeting your requirements. So with that, we're going to open it up to questions. And then just a quick reminder, if you would submit your questions in the panel that's the GoToWebinar panel that's on your right. I'll read the question aloud, and then if it's a question that's better answered by Brian, Brian can answer it, or if it's something Scribe specific, I will answer it. So feel free. Let's see here. Okay, I'm reading a question here, and it's going to take me a few seconds here. I think this is going to be a Brian question, but let me just finish this. Okay, so the actually there's a couple of the first question here has a couple of parts, and the second one I'm going to read the question aloud. The second component of the question I think is more of a Scribe question, so I'll answer it right away. And then the first part, Brian, it might be more appropriate for you to answer. So it says, when the connector is on a schedule, does it only push the changes? If we set to a 5-minute schedule versus 24 hours, will it use the same amount of records processed or connections to Scribe? I ask since Scribe is a connection-based cost. Actually, in the case of Scribe Online, it isn't a connection-based cost. It's what we call a row usage cost. So the tier that you would purchase for Scribe Online is based on the number of rows that you will process within a year. So I think, Jesse, that your question is probably around does everything get pushed out every 5 minutes, or can you get more specific records that would be processed on a 5-minute interval? Brian, can you answer that as far as how you have it set up? Yeah.
It should only process records that have changed. So I showed quickly, and I didn't spend much time on it, where there was a filter where you could say, show me or only send records that were changed after a certain date, and Scribe Online uses the last record that was processed. So you should only get the changes going back and forth between the two systems. It won't process, everything in a day or everything in a week or every record over and over again.
Right. So it really, in that case, Jesse, it wouldn't make a difference whether it was every 5 minutes or every 24 hours. You could really choose what works best for your business, and it's only going to take the records that have changed. Okay. Next question. Any thoughts about connecting to AR, credit status, etc.? And again, Brian, I'll let you address that, sort of how you came up with the requirements for the first, for the current connector.
Sure. So credit status you can definitely do because that's part of the customer record. So if a customer is on credit hold, that can be pushed up to another system. The current credit balance can be pushed up to the other system. And then obviously, as you saw, we can have AR invoices and the status and balances of those AR invoices as well as the line items. So almost everything that you can see in Epicor, you can see in Salesforce or Microsoft Dynamics CRM or what other system that you have it integrated with.
One other question, how about any other versions of Epicor, Brian? Are any other versions supported or planned to be supported?
So right now, all of the versions of 9, so 904, 905, and then when 10 comes out, we'll support 10, are supported. We can support and build, based on the Scribe technology, a connector for Epicor Enterprise, which is version 7. So that is also a possibility. It's not something that exists today, but it would not be hard to build.
Okay, great. Any other questions? All right, well, with that, we're going to close out our session. Thank you again for attending, and thank you, Brian, for joining us today. And you will receive a follow-up again with the slides and a link to the recording of this session.